We'll all back away, see the camera gets.
Good evening and welcome to the Economic Development Council meeting for October 5th. Before we introduce our council members, we'll all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening to the audience watching tonight. And starting over here, Cheryl, please introduce yourselves.
Cheryl Anderson?
Mark Lemay, Selectman's Rep.
Derek Horn.
Charlie Tentis, Chairman.
Kathy Hooten, member.
Excellent.
The first item on the agenda is the acceptance and correction of minutes from the September 7th, 2016 meeting. And those were emailed to members, available on the website, and you have printed copies in front of you this evening.
I have two grammatical errors that are in here, I found. Under economic development strategy, the word "be" has to be added after "need to be appointed."
Okay.
And the next one down, the storefront activity, that verb "were" is the plural, it should be singular "was."
Was that Cheryl?
Right there, the list was submitted, not were.
Okay.
And that's all I saw.
Anything else?
I'll second Cheryl's motion.
All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
with corrections.
Thank you. Thank you, Cheryl.
Oh, I spelled my name wrong.
Uh-oh.
If you go back,
It did?
Kathy is spelled at the, where it's at the top, approval of minutes of August 3rd.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
C-A-T, Kathy, I-E, yeah.
That's no big deal.
No, but it's still.
Next.
The next item, we had been discussing, one of the EDSAT recommendations was for, to develop an economic development plan or an economic development strategy. The Board of Selectmen at their September 19th meeting adopted a charter, which I sent out to everyone you have in front of you, for the Economic Development Planning Ad Hoc Committee. Be made up of members or residents of town as well as staff. The charter describes basically what the mission and objectives are, and this will be in force or for until December 1st, 2017, when there'll be a deliverable of a report or strategy to the Board of Selectmen. The sheet on top of that was paperclipped on top of that is basically the same information. The one thing that this board will need to do tonight or at the next meeting would be to see if there was someone who would be willing to volunteer and appoint someone to that committee. And also, it'd be helpful if this committee would appoint an alternate member who may be able to serve if the regular member's not there. And then I will be reaching out to members of Main Street, Hillsborough County, St. Anselm, and the other identified parties, so we can try and develop a meeting schedule and start that process.
First question will be, is there anyone interested in the council in being a member of this ad hoc committee?
I would be interested.
I knew you had mentioned it when we first started thinking about it.
Is there a limit to how many committees we can be on in the town?
Is there a limit? No, I don't think. This is an ad hoc committee of the Board of Selectmen, so it's not a land use board that would be affected by the statute. So, I would say there are some limits in the land use boards between planning board, conservation, zoning, those kind of things. But this is an ad hoc committee of the Board of Selectmen, so this would not apply.
So would you be interested in doing it?
Yeah.
Okay. We need to vote on that?
I wouldn't mind being the alternate.
And I don't know whether Steve or Andy had expressed any interest.
Want to wait till the next meeting to, if they're going to be, when they're here?
I would like to get it started pretty soon, but I don't want to, if somebody's, I know Andy did talk to me a little bit about kind of deliverables and kind of the public process. He expressed a desire in an email to me to make it really a public process, so there'd be buy-in through the whole process. He didn't express one way or the other whether he'd be interested.
I
but-
think Andy would be really good on that, one of the best people on that committee, I think, from this board.
But, I mean, we could, as a public process, any members could still provide input. It just really do need to, at some point, start forming that committee so they can start the work.
Because I think if we start waiting another 30 days,
Yeah.
the clock is running as of October 1st.
Yep.
Can I ask a question? On the second bullet point, identifying the new business desirable to the town, are you going to have a time when people who live in the town can come talk to you about businesses? Because they're the ones that have to shop at these places, I would assume, some kind of consensus, or just have some public speaking where they can come in and.
The Board of Selectmen asked that the plan include this. I think the ad hoc committee should take input from the public, and they'll just have to decide which form and what's the best way to do that
Okay.
is. Or it might be multiple different forums to do that, whether it's public hearings,
It
surveys.
says here in number 3, the operational constraints and guidelines, it has to be publicly noticed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and publicly noticed, not, a lot of people don't. I know with Plan Bernardville, we did a huge public outreach
Right.
with that, and we got quite a bit of participation. So whether you just follow the meeting notice requirements, or if you go beyond that, and, whether you send out mailers or stuff like that, but that would be for the ad hoc committee to decide.
They can decide that. So is the consensus that we'd like to wait and see if Steve and Andy would like to be considered?
I'd like to wait and see. I think, like I said, I think Andy would be a really good choice. So I'm not comfortable because he does know a lot. I mean, can someone contact him and just you said he did contact.
He did contact me because he had some, he wanted to provide some input on that, but he didn't express an interest either way.
I didn't sense that from Steve or him, myself, since we've discussed it. I'm not speaking for them. I don't know if Steve would want to be on that. I know he's extremely busy.
Yeah.
I wonder which local business would want to be involved. That's gonna be a tough one.
I think you'll be very surprised when you ask the businesses for their input.
It'd be nice to have even more than one.
I understand, but I think we'll, maybe speaking way down the road, but, I think we'll see a good number of businesses come forth, and hopefully, we can get the ball rolling and make things a little better and easier for the people that are looking to move into this town.
Yeah.
We've started that step now with the new forms and the new process that we have, so hopefully it'll keep moving in that positive direction, Charlie.
Is it worth a phone call to Andy? Versus waiting another month?
I guess my preference would be to maybe appoint people this evening, and
I
then,
agree.
and then, and
I
then
think we
maybe
need to
solicit
Keep moving
input.
along. Even if, and I know with his good background, it may be more that he could add things to it, so to speak. But we'd still have our 2 representatives,
Yeah, and this is
our
a,
main one and alternate there in place.
yeah, and this is the person that would be representing the Economic Development Council, so bringing that communication back and forth and representing the general consensus of the EDC, so,
Do they take minutes at ad hoc committees?
absolutely, yes.
So they would be brought back to us?
They'd be posted on the website, they would be public notice meetings, so, yes.
I assume they'll be taped and shown on GTV and everything.
Typically, they are, yes.
So at least we get that feedback, and then we can return our comments back,
Yeah.
so then it is represented in that council. on that committee, I should say. I think we should move forward now,
Want a motion, Mr. Chairman?
please.
I'll make a motion that we use Joanne Devanza as the primary and Kathy Wooten as the backup to fill in.
Duffy.
Duffy.
Duffy, sorry. My
I didn't even
bad.
catch that, I'm
My
listening, okay?
bad. I
I
forgot,
knew who
sorry.
you meant.
On the committee membership for the Economic Development Council.
Second?
I'll jump at once, guys.
I'll second.
Oh, I thought Charlie's, oh, I thought you were seconding it, I'm sitting here like,
Oh.
as you said
I
second,
need,
I
I
was
needed
okay.
one. I
Oh,
needed one.
okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. As an alternate, I still go to the meetings because if the
I would-
number one person isn't there, then I would have to be up to
If
snuff.
you're, yeah, if you're available, that'd be great. And again, this is gonna be a public process, so,
And I would think as well, if somebody is missing, and it means if Kathy makes the quorum for the board, she should be able to sit on that meeting as well, correct?
Well, thank you.
And the rest of us can
Thank you.
attend them as we want, if we want to attend one, we can.
Oh, absolutely. Again, they're gonna be public meetings, depending on how the ad hoc committee chair runs the meeting. Typically, when you have a committee, not every meeting is a public hearing to take input
No,
from the
no.
public. Some are workshops and, but I'm sure there'll be a process that'll be discussed. That'll be one of our first things that we talk about.
We're not worried about getting excellent feedback here, so that'll be good for us too, so. Thank you, ladies.
You're welcome. Are they just letting each of the boards appoint someone, and then the selectmen are reaching out to, like, the college, or?
Yes, I'll be reaching out to those entities on behalf of the town, and then what I'll do is I'll let Sue know that tonight we took this vote to have you serve and Kathy serve as the alternate. That way, the actual appointments will be done by the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Can I make a recommendation maybe on
I'm sorry, it's a recommendation, not.
It's a recommendation, yes.
local businesses? Is it worth like perhaps having more than one individual, one from the village, one from Pinardville?
That's what I was just thinking, because they're two different atmospheres.
That's a good idea.
Although we have Goffstown Main Street, which I think that person would represent them, and maybe just have the Pinardville be the
I guess my
business.
question, who is that now?
Who is,
Goffstown Main Street.
they do have a board of directors. They don't have an executive director at the moment. But they do have, I believe at the last selectmen's meeting,
Yep,
they came in and talked about their plans moving forward.
Good.
yep.
With local business, you may want one from each, maybe.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because it's so.
So there's no
different
favoritism of
perspective.
It is.
one or the other, and, yeah.
Yeah, Karen came in and gave us a rundown, and they're organized, they're getting back on the tracks, and they seem to be moving forward pretty progressively, and they're working on it.
We need that,
Yeah, oh yeah.
definitely.
Main Street's definitely a vital part of this town.
I don't know if you need one, we want, or need someone from Grassmere too, I'm not sure of that, but
Okay.
at least, you know, the town's pretty spread out, you get good representation, and
Yep.
then that group feels as though they have input too,
Yeah.
and they're not neglected. It's good, be interested to see how that committee shapes up and functions, yeah, it'll be good to, be exciting, that's good.
Heavy hitters.
Anything else on that?
On that, the only other thing I'd ask, maybe just a brief discussion on the missions and objectives. The charter really identified, I guess, there were 4 different things to identify, and then to develop a marketing plan. So really, the economic development plan would identify retention methods for current businesses, the type of new businesses desirable, parcels conducive to these type of businesses, and any federal, state, and local incentives to attract, as well as develop a marketing plan. Were there any other things in addition to that that the EDC would want considered. Again, the charter is put together by the Board of Selectmen, but I think we could make a recommendation if we thought it needed to go beyond that.
I'd like to give some thought to that.
Okay, yeah, and again, it doesn't need to be discussed or decided tonight. It could be something that's thought about and discussed at a future meeting for the EDC rep to bring to that ad hoc committee.
Okay.
Are you hiring UNH Cooperative, or are they just participating?
We're not, we're gonna ask them to participate.
Okay,
At this time, that is not the plan.
okay.
Well, hopefully they will. On a location here in town, right, at the county farm.
Yeah. Do they have a place here in town, UNH?
They have some offices here, they have limited offices here.
Cooperative Extension is at Durham.
Coop.
though.
Yep, yep. Okay, I think that's it for the ad hoc committee portion.
Nice job by the Board of Selectmen.
Then the only other item I had was, Charlie and I talked after I sent out everything. Just a quick review of the Board of Selectmen goals that focused on economic development. These were set back in April of this year. And their goal was to develop a plan to retain, expand, and attract commercial industrial development, to lessen burden on residential taxpayers while considering the town's natural and historical resources, and they had steps to accomplish that goal. I'd like to skip the first two, but on item C was to review the EDSAT and establish a committee. That has been done, and so that is underway at this point, item C. On the reverse of that paper was with the approved CEDS, which is the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy that was developed with Central New Hampshire Regional Planning and Southern New Hampshire Regional Planning. Watch for available grants. If you recall, during that, we had 3 projects that we submitted as potential projects for the CEDS. That was to extend high-pressure gas main along Route 114, conduct a feasibility study to extend municipal sewer, and construction of rail trail to link the city of Manchester. We, as staff, are continually watching for grants, and I know the rail trail is actively seeking out grants for portions of that rail trail, so it's kind of being taken care of.
Wouldn't that have been completed or done when we put the bridge over from our side to the Manchester side, or is there still more that they're looking for, Derek?
No, this was to finish the construction.
Okay.
So that 2.85 miles
Yep.
was, yes, we are connected with Manchester, but this was to improve the entire
Gotcha.
length. On item E was to develop a marketing strategy, and marketing plan is part of the ad hoc committee's deliverables. And then meet with EDC as needed. The last time we met with the Board of Selectmen was April 19th for the EDSAT presentation. I don't know if there's a feeling amongst members of an additional meeting with the Board of Selectmen, which can be difficult this time of year, but usually it's only when we have a common issue or interest.
I would almost think with their upcoming schedule, to meet with them just for the sake of meeting without a real purpose.
Yeah.
We're wasting their time.
Yep.
It's almost as if, let this ad hoc committee get rolling, and then perhaps, what's the schedule look like after the holidays?
Hours?
Still cranking along?
It'll pretty much go right till we have the town meetings and,
February and the elections in March?
yeah.
So maybe it'll be again in April,
Yep.
when there's that gap. And maybe we'll have some good feedback from the ad hoc committee at the same time that could be discussed too. And anything else that we may be working on.
Yep. So if you return to the first 2 bullet items of the economic development goal of the Board of Selectmen, you have identify and meet with entities to explore challenges for economic development, including infrastructure. And then determine if any entities have identified specific areas for progressive development, infrastructure needs, funding sources for extending infrastructure, and develop a timeline. Really, those two kind of tied together in discussion of infrastructure. I know previously, Tim Redmond, when he was on the Economic Development Council, was active in talking to Liberty Utilities
Oh, really?
about,
Yeah.
about gas
Yeah.
along 114. And we really haven't, as a council, picked up that mantle.
I think between that one, you and I spoke between what Tim was trying to do with Liberty Utilities, with our sewer commission, and then the water precincts. I know you have the village one. Is there also a separate one in Pinardville? Or is that-
Grassman.
That is Manchester Waterworks, and
And
then
Grassmere
there's
has their own?
Grassmere, but Grassmere comes across and services where the Shell station is. That's Grassmere Waterworks, or Grassmere Village Water Precinct.
They have an office?
No, they have,
Okay, I'm just curious.
no, they
Been here
don't.
30 years,
They have a board, and so, they're an elected board, so.
So obviously, the plan there would be is to talk with Tim, and then these other, the water precincts and the sewer commission, have an initial discussion and try to establish like an open line with them.
Tim is
to
on
let
the
them
sewer
know.
commission, so you could kill two birds with one stone with him.
I'll give them a call.
Can I ask you, does anyone know exactly what the plans are, where gas is? Are there any concrete plans of gas as far as coming up to Bedford? And, I mean, what is written in stone now as to where gas is coming into this area?
Well, no, was extended to the Hillsborough County Complex, and I know Public Works works with the utilities, so water, gas, electrical, at the time that they're doing projects, to try and do,
Right.
when the roads open, they will do it all at once. I know Adam Jacobs works with those agencies, and he does work with Liberty Utilities on those.
And didn't they just extend the gas line up Glen Ridge or in that neck of the woods?
They were, I don't know whether they did, I know they were interested in that, and Adam was working with them because sewer was doing it at the same time. It kind of,
Yeah.
once you have the road open, do it all at
Yeah.
once. So there is that communication. What Liberty Utilities' further plan is, I don't know if Tim had that information, or at least had a contact to try and get that.
Had you heard anything about them coming up Wallace Road?
I have not heard that.
Okay.
Because right now, that gas line ends at, what is it, Henry Bridge and 114?
Right in that
It's
area.
not even that far.
It goes right to their buildings then,
Yep, yep.
probably almost right
Oh, so it
to,
went
even
to
with the
the
police
police
station.
To the state, okay.
Yeah, it went to all the county buildings.
Yeah.
Because I remember Tim had a conversation with Liberty about the potential of even getting it to the Shell station, but then they were also saying, okay, what about critical mass going after that?
Yeah.
What's going in where the villa's gonna be? They were asking him those questions
Yeah.
of who they could tie in and start getting it in right away.
Yep.
After that, I don't remember anything else, and he may not have spoken to him since. What I will do is I'll call Tim and ask him if I can sit down with him and just talk to him. And then if I can work with you to reach out to the sewer commission.
Yep.
And then the two water precincts too.
Okay,
I'll be happy to do that.
okay.
And then see if we can tie it in with some of these goals that we have listed in the sense and see kind of where they're going.
Yeah.
I know Adam had given you some information about DPW, like downtown next year and,
Yeah, they, has DPW, has Adam come back with the final 10-year plan?
Not
No,
yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
He had, it was still in, it was in almost a final draft, but it was still a draft form. He was still moving some stuff around. But- But he had been to the Board of Selectmen to talk. Next year is the big project down here.
We're gonna redo Main Street from,
In the sewer, correct? Because I heard before I left that sewer, that they were, the commission was going to be looking at replacing and working the sewer lines in this downtown area because they're like spider webs.
Yeah, so there's gonna be a considerable
And
amount.
they're old.
Yeah.
You know, we've got there was a lot of root damage and stuff in there, so. And whatever happened about the project that we had, the village commercial project, wasn't it? Where we were going to do Steve Griffin's plan that we all had about turning the area behind the town hall here, possibly into little shops and making it more of a pedestrian, I mean, there's a whole.
That's part of the master plan, is the
Yeah.
village plan is part of the master plan, and they did do some zoning changes to try and effectuate that, but, it's really, at this point, it would need to be developed in that manner, and for the planning board to either change zoning additionally to push it or kinda urge it that way. But yeah, we've met with, property owners about that, but again, it'll be how they propose the actual development.
Because it seemed to me to make quite a bit of sense. They were taking traffic off of the main street and actually giving less visibility, but more parking. The whole idea was that what affects the businesses on Main Street right now is the lack of parking.
Yeah.
And that plan pretty much was helping businesses have more parking and also more walking area. It was quite a unique little plan that seemed to just take a lot of time to pull together and then it's not being discussed anymore, really.
Sorry. This was not mine, it was my granddaughter's app.
But of course, before you do any of those plans, you have to get your infrastructures in order.
The tough part's gonna see all this construction out here next year. And then and granted, it's quite a ways between here and Henry Ridge Road for a gas line.
Yep.
That would almost make it more difficult once the road is dug up and done again.
Could they sleeve it? That's what we do
Don't
with
know.
the sewer. I mean, they could put in dry lines, maybe, in anticipation.
I mean, that's, as Adam's looking at those things, it's probably not a bad idea to at least think of that versus digging it all up again. Because obviously, that project that's gonna take place next spring, summer, that's probably not gonna happen again for a long, long time.
Probably not.
And, with potential growth in the decades to come, like you're saying, sleeving it, what if that was available and made it a lot easier to be able to put gas out here? I don't know what it costs, and et cetera, but it's probably a good idea to look at that. Seeing they probably won't do this again for another, 30, 40, 50 years?
But another thing that we have to pay attention to also is that the highway that's coming through, that they want to put up on the north side of Goffstown. I mean, that's not expected to come in probably, for 10 years, I think it is? What'd they say at the last?
2024, I believe, is the estimated start of the project.
Oh, is 24 years?
Yes.
Okay.
2024.
2024.
The start of the
2024,
project?
yeah.
But yeah, at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Wow.
that's in 7 years.
Bureaucracy in government at its best.
That's 7 years. When we went to those first meetings,
7 years.
Yeah.
there were some of them were saying you may not see it for 30 years.
Yeah.
So that project's being accelerated now,
Yeah.
because they know what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. They got money, there was money allocated last year to a certain part of that project, and they're moving forward.
Now, is that,
Sign.
what size road are they planning on putting through there? Is that a two-laner or two-laners on,
I think we're talking about the I-293,
yes,
exit 6 and 7.
Yeah.
6 and 7.
Which I know Mark is a member of that technical advisory committee. They're looking to redo the exits, especially the Amaskeg circle,
right.
to try and alleviate some of the congestion there. And then to make exit 7 at the community college, make that on and off, both
Yeah.
north and south,
And a little further north than the
but
college.
push it,
Yeah.
push it up to where the college is, you know, when you're on 293 and you can see the college, have it go in approximately there, and then the membership from Goffstown is pushed to bring a road into Goffstown Back Road where Straw Road is.
And it's their plan, or they're talking about it. If that does happen, Kathy, the exit 7 part of the project will happen first before the exit 6, so that the people that are in the area have a way to get on and off of the highway without going through too much of a,
So you can alleviate
yeah.
some of the pressure
Yeah.
off.
Right, so it's a relief valve
Yep.
right on the front
Yep.
end, which
Yep.
is good for us, because then it can tie in
Yep.
and be built quicker.
Yep. And did I understand, or
It ties
did I
to
hear
Goffstown
that,
Back Road.
on Goffstown Back Road where the radio towers are, is there somebody looking to build some storage units there or something?
The planning board next week does have a site plan application for one building that has almost 50,000 square feet, and then another with about 25,000 square feet of storage
So we're
at the,
moving forward on the back road. I mean, things are progressing
yes, yep.
after a long delay.
Nicely put. I guess my question is that we're not, is there any consideration being given to change any of the road structure that is within Goffstown, northern Goffstown, because of these new exits coming in? Are they going to make,
I can ask DPW and Adam in that. My guess is because you're still in phase 2
Yes,
of a 3-year or a 3-phase planning. That
Yep.
doesn't even include construction. It's a 3-phase planning. They're only in second phase or phase B of the
Yep.
planning process.
yep.
That's before they even go to get the funds for it, to actually do it. My guess is Adam probably hasn't adjusted, or there hasn't been a huge adjustment in Goffstown. on
You're
that.
sitting on both sides of the committee. You are the first one that has asked that question, Kathy. I mean, like Derek said, probably a good thing to ask Derek to look in the crystal ball in his 10-year road plan down the road, what he plans to do with that.
and the reason I bring it up is because if we're going into, looking at economic development in this town, if we have new road structure over there, that opens up a whole new bundle of acreage that would be possibly commercially, excitable to some companies.
And I'll say it, I'd rather do it sooner than later, because
Right.
if we address the situation now, deal with it now, when the time comes,
It's not
we're,
going-
yeah, exactly. I know there's still talk on Hacker Hill Road there, looking at the old college. You hear that every so often, the rumblings come up of, somebody wants to put housing in there, somebody wants to put business in there. I mean, there, the infrastructure is in, water and sewer. If you've never been behind that, where the water tank is, the sewer lines are in, the water lines are in, the hydrants are in,
Parking
There's
lots,
the
yeah,
parking lots, I
sidewalks are
mean-
all there.
street lights, everything. It was a city built that never got put together.
Yeah, it was supposed to be like a Plymouth State or a Keene.
Yep,
That was the goal.
yep.
My understanding is the city owns that now,
I believe so. I think
Yeah.
you're right, Charlie.
whereas they worked with UNH to be able to go downtown. So I remember one of those meetings that the mayor had some condominiums and whole housing complexes up in there,
Yeah.
so there's a lot of opportunity if those exits get
Right.
revitalized, as well as the widening of the Everett Turnpike.
Yeah.
You widen 93 and they're coming up here, you gotta keep widening roads or you're gonna get gridlock.
Yeah.
That'll turn people away.
And they're widening 93 pretty much right on the Manchester border now.
Yes. Yes, they are.
Yep.
Ready to welcome all in.
I'll follow up with those
Okay,
groups if I can,
yeah,
put them in the right direction,
yes,
at
absolutely.
least with some phone numbers, and I can
Yep.
call them and reach out to them.
Yeah.
Kind of get that ball rolling again.
Yep.
Anything else?
The only other item I had for upcoming meetings, Selectman Lemay had just pointed out that the I-293 Planning Technical Advisory Committee has, their next meeting is in November 16th. Again, it's for the Technical Advisory Committee, so it's a 1 to 3 o'clock meeting over in Manchester Community College, so. But that process continues to move forward.
And I will say, to add to that, the last meeting we had where it was an open meeting to the public, I will say thank you to the people of Goffstown who did come to the meeting. We did have strong support. We did have a strong showing. And I mean, it means a lot. Our voice is being heard with the state, throughout the state, and they're looking more and more and more at putting that ramp into Goffstown. You know, so all the support the people have given, I say thank you very much, and I look forward to your continued support, and I'll let you know when and if there are any more meetings that the public is invited to.
It's good. Squeaky wheels getting the grease. That's for
Right.
sure. The only thing I had was, you had given this article to all of us.
Yes,
I
yes.
don't know if you had a chance to read it. The 6 Biggest Mistakes in Economic Development Marketing by Andy Levine. If you had a chance to look at it, take a good look at it.
I looked at it real quick, I gotta read it.
There's some
I
good
didn't
thing.
get that. Did you email it?
Yeah,
I emailed it, yeah.
No,
email
I
it.
didn't get it. I don't
I
have
can resend and I can provide you a paper copy.
Okay.
There's some pretty good things in here.
Technologically behind.
You know, if you can take a look at it, maybe we can
Talk
discuss
about
a
it.
little bit about it next month. It's interesting where a lot of communities and economic development just put all these facts on their websites, and they think that's gonna attract people.
Motivate.
There's a lot of different pieces in here, so take a good look at it. I happened to look at one, just to make it brief, at lunch today at work. Citydata.com, www.city-data.com. Please tell me about Goffstown. And it was an individual who was writing in, this is from 2014, asking, can you tell me about Goffstown? Any info appreciated? I live in Connecticut, I'm considering to move to New Hampshire. Property taxes could be lower, but are the same as what I pay in Connecticut. It's here or there, but it looks like the schools are good, medium house prices are lower for the area, so we might get a little bit more house for our money. Population is similar to our town in Connecticut. We like the size, not too small. Seems to have a lot of conveniences in the town, grocery store, gas, primary care, doctors, et cetera. And then some people give feedback. A good portion of the people, there's probably like 4 or 5 of them, nice, convenient, quaint, village-type community. They talk a lot about the bike trail. They talk a lot about Uncanunic Mountain. A couple individuals talked about renting kayaks and going out on Glen Lake. So those are the kind of things, as I was reading about, is more quality of life. The complaints, and there were 4 of them, the slowness of traffic on 114 going through town.
Yep.
It's an issue.
There's not a lot you can do about it. I mean, you can't widen.
I know the first day of school, I was talking to Mr. Baines when he was at Crosswalk last week, and he was telling me, first day of school, it went from Wallace Road out to the cemetery, bumper to bumper.
Well, the second day of school, they had a policeman who was, because I go to work every morning up Mountain, across Merrill, down
Down.
Worthley, and then I turn at the bottom, and let me tell you, the people that are going to the school are wonderful because we merge perfectly. Everybody is very, very, very hospitable. And we do that very well. The second day, they thought maybe a police officer would be helpful. And unfortunately, I don't think it was beneficial. I think that the merging will help everybody, but unfortunately, when I looked when the police officer was there, they were now stopped and backed up way down Mass Road and then all up Worthley Hill. And I mean, the intent was good. There was no question. They tried a different approach to it to see if they could possibly get the cars off the road, but that wasn't happening, and needless to say, he didn't reappear the next day. So it was a good attempt, but they do a good job. I personally, as far as the traffic is concerned around that school area, when I go by, I find one of the major deterrents on getting cars into the parking lot is the fact that they have the crosswalk at the end of the entrance of the parking area. And there are so many kids that do walk to school, and as soon as they hit that crosswalk, nobody can turn into the parking lot. So until they cross over the crosswalk, if they were, and I've thought about it, and I thought it might be some consideration should be given to possibly putting a sidewalk down the parking lot side, and then have them cross, have the students cross the parking lot further down in, so that you would have a steady stream of traffic, hopefully going into that parking lot. Because the kids crossing are a major deterrent to keeping that traffic flowing around that school. But like I said, everybody, you always have a few that won't let you merge in, but I'm pleasantly surprised every morning that when I go there, that everybody lets me right in, and any car in front of me. We're stacking on Weatherly Hill too. But,
The nice thing is that they're short windows
yes,
when it happens.
Morning and night,
Are they gonna try to address anything with that, Adam, with the roundabout at Wallace Road? That trucks seem to drive over all the time.
all the time.
I mean, they're knocking over signs,
Moving granite curbing,
moving the granite curbing,
yep.
the planter, they
Yeah.
moved that in the spring.
Planter's
I don't know
been.
how they did
The
that.
planter's been, well, in the springtime, I believe the planter was hit by a tractor trailer head on and just pushed it.
It was almost pushed into the road.
Is it that they can't fit around it?
Can't get
Yeah,
around it.
the-
swing it.
Can't
The,
swing
It
it.
doesn't seem, yeah, it's awfully small.
if the tractor trailer truck has a large sleeper on it, plus she's got a 53-foot box
Yeah.
on the back,
You
I
can't get
mean,
around that
it's
corner.
just, yeah, you
can't.
almost,
They go right up over the island.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the day that someone's gonna do that and the trailer will then flip over.
don't wish that.
No,
But
we should, but
I don't know if I mean, you've got a lot of homeowners there, so I mean,
they're close by, too.
you gotta
There's
work
no-
with that, but that roundabout is very, very.
Those houses, they don't have a lot of frontage, so you can't really,
But as for traffic moving, I think people are very, very cordial. They let you in,
They do.
you know,
They do.
it works.
We've gotten used to the roundabouts in town, is what I'll say.
Yeah.
They're very,
I don't think we need any more, though.
no.
two's enough.
But it was interesting with those comments I was reading. If I find any newer ones when I'm Googling around just to see, but there's an example of an individual living in Connecticut, looked at our website, saw some similarities with their town in Connecticut, and was thinking of moving up here, and we're very pleased to see some good things, so.
I had good comment from people I work with who rode the bicycle, the Rails to Trails. And they've made it as far down to the prison. And they actually saw the old cemetery that's in the back.
Yep.
Yep.
That has numbers on it, not names.
Yep.
And they were very surprised at how well it is, how good the trails are. And they really commented over the new crossing over the Piscataquag River that was done by where the ice rink is.
New bridge.
Yeah.
The new bridge, and they complimented on the Goffstown side and all of it, the Rails to Trails. So that is an up-and-coming marketing tool, for sure.
They're gonna run the city race, the marathon.
The Manchester Marathon
the
will,
marathon.
It's gonna come out part of the way.
it's gonna come down Mast Road all the way to the,
Prison, or it's coming up, or whatever, one way.
it's coming up Mast
they're
Road
gonna-
to the
Back on the
prison
trail.
and then back on the trail
They're
back
gonna
into
use a
Manchester.
large
Like the
portion,
West Side Arena and then all the way back into the city.
they're gonna use a large portion of the rail trail for the
The marathon.
marathon this year.
That'll be the
What
first,
day is that?
first Sunday of November.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
So,
great,
And that goes all the way over to the Fisher Cat Stadium.
yeah.
Yeah, it goes all the way, I mean, it's in Manchester up by the reservoir, over by Livingston Park, all through there, and then the second half will come over into Goffstown and back.
They call that the Heritage Trail. That goes
Yes.
further up.
Yep.
Good. I mean, and it's good to see that that road race is gonna use it.
Yep.
Part of what's in town.
We're working with Bedford, Hooksett, several towns that have the OHRVs and the utility vehicles so that we can have transportation on the trail if anything does happen, so that we can, you know.
For the runners.
For the runners, yeah, so we can handle it if anything happens with emergency or anything like that.
Well, if you get a chance, take a look at the article, and
Yeah.
we can talk about that one next.
I'll
week.
resend it and mail that to you, Sharon.
I appreciate you sending that out, too. Anything else? Someone make a motion? to
Motion to
adjourn?
adjourn?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good evening.
Thank you.
See you next month.